Father, we had a discussion on the way back today, and you brought something up I think that the public should know. We spoke about Malachi Martin.
He was a friend of mine.
Yes, and I certainly worked with him also. We were going to do a video because he felt that the real terms of La Salette were never given.
True.
And you indicated something to me. Can we expound on that just a little bit?
I know one line, not more than that. I know there's one line in the message of La Salette, and I have the confirmation about that via telephone. It might have been Malachi Martin, you see, who told me that, because we actually had several talks on the telephone. And there is one line that I know of in the message of La Salette that has been censored universally. I cannot, in good conscience, say who was the one who censored it. I cannot say it was the Pope or the Cardinals. I believe it was a Pope. And again, I do not know which one. So let's leave that question. The line that was censored was that Our Lady said that in the coming century or the 20th century, that I don't remember. I remember literally the quotation, there will be deux papes vermoulus en français. Two worm-ridden popes. Deux papes vermoulus. You speak French?
Oui, je parle français un petit peu.
Ah, bien. Deux papes vermoulus.
C'est ça, oui.
Two worm-ridden popes. Your next question should be, who were those two worm-ridden popes? We have such a great choice. I positively, in all justice, I positively exclude John Paul I. Positively. One of my best friends in all the 15 years that I spent in Rome was Cardinal Pericle Felici, who was one of the closest friends that Albino Luciani, John Paul I, ever had. John Paul I was certainly not an Orthodox Catholic. No way. John Paul I made quite a few statements, including a very interesting fictional correspondence with a Satanist author of the 19th century, which is quite a puzzlement to those who know that man. I'm talking about Bossuet. But John Paul II is certainly not what you would call a pape vermoulu, a worm-ridden pope. Because when you study the history of the Church, and I'm not talking again about that poor Pope Liberius, who is always used as the scapegoat for all accusations against the Church. I'm talking about people like the above-mentioned Paul IV, who was a paranoid maniac. When you go into the close history of Pope Paul IV, the way he treated cardinals, like he had them arrested without explaining to them why they were arrested. He would call an English cardinal, this is a fact, he would call an English cardinal into his audience. It means that English cardinal was expecting to face the Pope and say, "Hi, Your Holiness." And instead, two doors were opened. He was led into a huge hall. There the English cardinal stood and didn't know what to do. Bang! The doors shut behind him. Another two doors opened. Two Swiss guards arrived and arrested him. He asked, "What's the matter? What's happening to me?" "Oh, we don't know. We've just been ordered to arrest you." The guy was in prison until Paul IV... The cardinal. The cardinal was in prison until Paul IV died. So we've had quite a few interesting specimens of the human race on the papal throne. And we have had Alexander VI. Alexander VI not only, which is something understandable to every man in the world, not only had children, but Alexander VI had children while he was Pope. Worse than that, he abused his papal authority to legitimize his daughter Lucretia. This is, I think, by far the worst. Hilaire Belloc says that the very moment that Alexander VI legitimized his physical daughter, he was ridiculing the priesthood. Celibacy is not of the essence of priesthood, but it's intimately connected with priesthood. And he ridiculed this by legitimizing his own daughter. So we have had quite a few interesting characters in the papacy. And I don't see a reason why Our Lady would bother to call somebody like Luciani, Albino Luciani, John Paul I, a pape vermoulu. Now, if we go into the sedevacantist theory, which is, again, I say, a very daring theory, because we are the ones who have the proof, who have to have the proof for it, and not the Pope. See, in the Church, you're not allowed to utter a suspicion unless you have at least some high probability or proof. And yet there's hundreds of people running around, especially in this country, who say that we haven't had a Pope, and then they can't even decide since when. We haven't had. I received a letter a couple of years ago that told me that Pius X was not a Pope.
Oh.
He was the anti-Pope because he reformed the breviary. So, well, probably the next time I'm going to hear that Pope Linus was not a Pope and Peter was the first and last Pope. See, it's all absurd because you have to have definite proof. Did Hillary Clinton cease to be president when she betrayed the Constitution? No. So the same thing is true here. But for argument's sake, let's say we have not had a Pope since 1958. Who were the Pape vermoulu? Pius XI, with his terrible mistake of instituting the Catholic action, and Pius XII with changing Holy Week. Hey, see, there you are. That's one of the things that the Society of St. Pius X absolutely hates about Father Hesse, that I dare to even utter the most remote criticism about Pope Pius XII. As if he was untouchable. He's not. Alexander VI was as much Pope as Pius XII, and he was not untouchable. You shouldn't confuse dogma with judgment. And so who are the Pape vermoulu? Is it true what they say that in 1986 with Assisi, John Paul II ceased to be Pope, so the deux Papes vermoulu would either be John Paul II and Paul VI, or Paul VI and John the 23rd, or John the 23rd and Pius XII, or Pius XII and Pius XI? Hey, wait a second. Our Lady said there's going to be deux Papes vermoulu, two worm-ridden popes. My personal guess, don't say Father Hesse dogmatically pronounces that this is such. My personal educated guess, is that the deux Papes vermoulu were Paul VI and John Paul II. But let's wait for the next one. I think we're in for a treat. Yes.
Do you think in the year that we met, this year, that the church has improved or going down?
Going down. Going down, because I think that if you remember our last encounter last year, when we talked about the fourth secret of Fatima, that's not exactly what you call a spiritual progress. When the church, well, let's put it this way, not the Church of Christ, not the Catholic Church, but when these people in Rome start to lie about things like the secret of Fatima, and they did lie, most definitely, as was proven in the Fatima Crusade, especially in the article by Andy Sazanek. If they start to lie about even things like that, then I can't call that spiritual progress. So we're going down. Humanly speaking, mind you, the Holy Spirit, when I say humanly speaking, I cannot tell the Holy Spirit what to do. I cannot tell Christ what to do. Humanly speaking, we are finished.
Do you think that Our Lady's prophecy is coming true now at Fatima?
What prophecy?
Well, we've heard that Our Lady at Fatima told Lucia, Sister Lucia,
Yeah.
that the Pope was supposed to consecrate Russia to her Immaculate Heart and all the bishops together.
Correct.
That has been done and it has not been done.
No, it has not been done in any way.
Whoever you want to listen to, It has been done and it hasn't been done.
Listen to
You
Sister Lucy.
you contend that it has not been done.
Absolutely not. Fatima Crusader proves that too.
Well, so you're saying to me, Sister Lucia said that it has not been done.
Correct.
The other people say she said
That was a hoaxed interview. I think it was in 1991, and it has been proven a hoax.
You think it's suspicious, Father? There was a man, a priest, who knew the message of Fatima, and it was Father Malachi Martin. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I knew him.
Do you like him?
Yeah.
It's suspicious that they didn't come out with that until he died?
Certainly it's suspicious. But that's all I can say. I have no detailed information on the decision for the exact moment of publication. It is certainly suspicious. I'm used to seeing suspicious things coming out of the Vatican. Even the meat they sell is suspicious. I should know. I've been shopping there.
Father, you have not seen The Secret.
No.
Do you know people who have seen it?
I do not personally know anyone who has seen it, really seen it.
In the second order, then, you know someone in the first order who knew someone who did see it.
In the second order, yes.
Yes. So, could you sort of maybe clarify what you think, not clarify, but tell us what you think The Secret could have been?
It's logically conclusive. There is no alternative. It has to be one thing. Our Lady knew. Now, you have to understand, Our Lady does not know the future. There is only Father, Son, and Holy Spirit who know the future, right?
Yes.
So Our Lady does not know the future unless she is told. Our Lady knew exactly when First World War would finish. She knew exactly under which pope, and she named him, Pius XI. The Second World War would break out. She knew exactly that Russia would spread her errors. John the 23rd was a great help in that point. She knew exactly that the Pope won't consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart because she said, eventually the Pope is going to do it, but it will be late. She also knew that Russia was going to be the instrument of chastisement and that entire nations will be annihilated, which is exactly what the European Union, by the way, is doing now. And she knew nothing about Vatican II. Who's going to believe that? She knew about those 55 or 60 million people that died in World War II, and she knew nothing about 1 billion Catholics being deprived of the truth by what is going on since Vatican II. She didn't know about that. That is impossible. It's not improbable. It's impossible. She was told the future in order to tell us at Fatima. She was told the future beyond 1965. Beyond the 20th century, as a matter of fact, because she said Russia will be consecrated to my Immaculate Heart, but it will be late. It hasn't been done yet. So she referred to an event that is most definitely going to take place in the 21st century. And then she knew nothing about Vatican II, the most revolutionary of all councils, if it was a council, which I deny. She didn't know anything about that. That is perfectly impossible. The third secret of Fatima is bound to contain the crisis of the faith following Vatican II. Therefore, it must in some way mention Vatican II. There is no way around that.
La Salette did that, am I correct, Father?
In a certain sense, yes,
Yeah.
Indirectly. La Salette spoke about suspicious popes. Well, actually, La Salette used the term vermoulu. Deux papes vermoulus en français. 2 worm-ridden popes. Whoever they
Say
were.
that again. Father?
Worm-ridden popes.
Worm-ridden popes?
Worm-ridden popes. Vermoulu en français. Who wants to look it up in the dictionary? Vermoulu.